next month, the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority, DVLA, will roll out its new chip-based smart driver and vehicle documentation systems. The new system, which will require, or not require rather, customers to visit the DVLA's offices, is expected to include all data of the driver on the chip with improved security features. The introduction of the chip-based documentation, which is part of the paperless system intended to cover the smart license and vehicle registration, is expected to cost the DVLA over 20 million Ghana cedis. Matilda Wemega has more.
The security feature on the new smart card is first to safeguard data deposited on it and also make it extremely difficult to fake the card. Director of Driver Training, Testing and Licensing at the DVLA, C.W. Musa, said the processes leading to acquisition of new license will be shorter and less cumbersome with the introduction of the new system, and the nuisance of Goro boys will also be eliminated.
Once you have passed your exams and you have been captured to be given a driver's license, we expect to deliver your license to you between 2 to 4 weeks maximum. And we are also saying that this license will be delivered to customers via courier service. So you will not be coming to DVLA again. You will sit in the comfort of your home.
What if I want to come?
Yeah, if you want to come, you could come, but then you have to alert us, because we want to engage and let people feel free to be able to do their other work. Transparency. We are giving every Ghanaian that the product we give you is transparent. You can verify it even yourself, and if you are not able to verify it using the short codes that we are giving you, walk to any DVLA office, we are saying, because all the DVLA offices will be linked by this technology we are going to use, and the verification is going to be that easy.
Drivers will pay about 340 Ghana cedis to acquire the new license. Those with the old cards do not have to change them. It can be used until it expires and the new one issued upon renewal.
If you are already a driver and you are coming into the new regime, your driver's license is going to cost 91 cedis extra. So if you are coming to replace your license before, it will cost you 64 Ghana cedis to replace your driver's license. So what you are now going to do is add 91 Ghana cedis extra, and that is going to be 155 Ghana cedis. So
if I'm a new driver and I want a license, how much would that cost me?
Now, if you're a new driver and you want a license, there are 2 stages. So I've already said the first stage is the teaching and learning and testing stage. That costs you 160 Ghana cedis. The second stage, 60 Ghana cedis. Now, when you pass your exams, the second stage will cost you 166 Ghana cedis. So what you are going to do is you add 91 to the 66 Ghana cedis. So what we are saying is that the actual cost of the license, this process that we've done, is 91 Ghana cedis, and we have proof why it is so. The reason is that the first time the license cards were not charged. Government took responsibility for the license cards.
The DVLA is also digitizing the vehicle registration system. Mr. Musa explains documentation on vehicles from 1995 to date have already been digitized, and all vehicle registration will be paperless from November, as details will be transferred onto the smart card. The card will also be linked to the national.
Now, it has emerged that millions of cedis of NDC campaign funds meant for the 2016 elections were either, quote, pocketed or managed through irregular means. That's according to the Dr. Kwesi Botwe election review report, intercepted by JoyNews. Head of our political desk, Evans Mensah, has more in the following report.
Dr. Omani Boama, former communications minister, mounts a strong defense. The Dr. Kwesi Botwe election review report singled out Dr. Omani Boama and former presidential staffer Stan Dogbe for some blame. This was based on interviews conducted by the committee with what it describes as a large segment of the pro-NDC press. It alleged that Dr. Boama and Mr. Dogbe were the president's undoing, and that, quote, the president was virtually naked with the two around him. It further alleged that Dr. Boama convinced the president he was more popular than the NDC ticket. The report also accused the two of being what they term shadow actors of the government. Dr. Omani Boamah denies the claims captured in the report.
Let it know that it is never the case. It is never the case that any of those things that have been said happened. I did my job very well, and if anybody wants to assess me based on how I work on campaigns, they should assess it with the 2012 campaign when I was specifically deputy campaign coordinator.
The report also highlights how resources budgeted to facilitate party communication activities were diverted. But Dr. Omani Boamah disagrees.
To the best of my ability, within budget, we did what we could. And perhaps that is the reason why, with all the dust that is being thrown at various ministries, left, right, center, a lot of the ministries are still standing because we ensured that we worked within our means.
The report noted that the party's messaging focused unduly on infrastructure and failed to fully explain the social benefits associated with expanding infrastructure. It emphasized that the party's national campaign failed to listen to advice and implement recommendations of the party campaign strategy team. It said those recommendations had advised against running an extravagant campaign. It observed that mounting huge billboards offended many voters and reinforced MPP accusations that these were funded from stolen public monies. The report also revealed that although the NDC set up a national campaign committee, that committee hardly met as a collective and operated with no formal developed campaign blueprint. For Dr. Omani Boamah, there appears to be a conspiracy against him.
What we are discussing is the specific lies, untruths that have been peddled over a period, some calculated by journalists, some calculated by politicians. We have shared but differentiated responsibility. And if people want to assign blame, rather than put so much premium on collective responsibility, which is not bad in itself, let us also begin to dig deeper into what others also did or did not.
You're welcome back. The Member of Parliament for Ashaiman has accused the Finance Minister of breaching the Public Procurement Authority Act in procuring insecticides to control the deadly fall armyworm. Ernest Henry Nogbe's accusation comes after Deputy Agric Minister Dr. Sagri Bambangi informed the House that 12 agrochemical companies supplied insecticides they had in stock to the ministry to undertake the spraying exercise. The Deputy Minister added they requested retrospective approval from the Public Procurement Authority after the insecticides, which cost 9.9 million Ghana cedis, were supplied.
In all, 12 agrochemical companies agreed and supplied the insecticides they had in stock to the ministry to undertake a controlled exercise. The ministry, having secured the above facility from the companies, consequently requested for a retrospective approval from the Public Procurement Authority for emergency supply of insecticides to control the fall armyworm. The Public Procurement Authority granted the request of the use of single source procurement method to engage various suppliers to undertake the procurement of the insecticides in accordance with Section 41C of the Public Procurement Act 2003, Act 663. We have a letter from the Public Procurement Authority approving our request. And to the best of my knowledge, if we were wrong, then the Public Procurement Authority wouldn't have done the same. The total cost of the procurement is 9,998,996 Ghana cedis. And the armyworm has been generally controlled.
But MP for Ashaiman, Ernest Nobe, insists government violated the law and says the minority will haul the finance minister before the House.
I'm not happy about the answers given simply because they have not gone through the necessary regulative measures to procure the army women. He stated that they will use about above 9 million Ghana cedis in that, which is also above the threshold. Even if it is not above the threshold, the processes in engaging in acquiring those insecticides is unlawful because according to him, they have procured the goods were in stock, and they have applied to PPA to give them retrospective approval. And the law says that before you engage in sole sourcing, single source procurement, just apply to PPA, let PPA give you approval. If the PPA gives you the approval, then you can go ahead with your sole sourcing or whatever it is. Now, what he has tendered in the floor of the House is not approval from the PPA. It is not retrospective approval that he claimed he got even from PPA. This is a request to PPA that they want to engage in single source procurement, and PPA is asking them to attach the work plan, the procurement plan, what is necessitating the emergency of the procurement before they can give them approval. They did not do it. They have engaged in illegality that we must all admit. They always use single source procurement as a basis of fraudulent or practicing corrupt activities.
According to him, this is a test case for the Office of the Special Prosecutor.
This is a very special case that we must all look into. It should be a matter of public interest because we are all talking of corruption. And if we want to fight corruption, we must fight corruption from all spheres of life. It is a matter of the special prosecutor, if there will be any special prosecutor, to take action. But as I said, we are going to hold the Minister of Finance into the House. We will quiz him about what necessitated the release of those funds, whether he has gone through the normal process that he needed to go through before releasing the funds, and etc. The answer we will get from the Minister of Finance will determine what we have to do in the future.
Now, pressure is piling on government to pay all arrears owed caterers under the school feeding program, as some caterers abandon schools and others threaten a demonstration for the delay in payment. From the northern region to the Upper West region and the Greater Accra region, the women who provide meals for the children say they will not continue to cook until their full arrears are paid. Let's begin from the Greater Accra region, where scores of caterers under the program on Tuesday picketed the Gender Ministry to demand full payment of monies owed them. They threatened to embark on a demonstration if the ministry fails to pay their monies within a week. MFA Nancy Dradosi reports.
The caterers who besieged the Gender Ministry today said they had to acquire loans to prepare the meal for the students and are now unable to pay their creditors.
We have worked for 125 days and we've not been yet paid. And we've not even heard anything about the money. So we don't know what is going on.
We have been working with the school feeding for years, but our jobs have been taken from us. We have given them so much time to pay, but they have failed to pay us, only for them to give us 7 days. Otika wants to spend our money. If they don't pay us, the next time we come here, we'll bring all our cooking utensils and come for our money. We beg our minister, if she really has women and children at heart, then she should prove it by paying our monies. She announced on radio that government has released monies for caterers, but up till now we haven't seen anything.
Spokesperson for the group, Dela Agbenyu, says they have given government 1 week to pay in full all monies owed them.
School has resumed. They've taken the job from us, and up till now, they haven't paid us. I think last week, all of a sudden what we saw was they have paid us 7 days out of the 125 days that we have worked. 7 days is an insult to all the caterers, the whole country. We've given them 1 week that if we don't hear from them, we'll keep on coming here till our monies are paid to us.
Government owes the caterers nationwide arrears for 118 days after they paid 7 days last week. National Coordinator of the School Feeding Program, Dr. Kwame Edunsia, has urged all caterers to exercise restraint, assuring his outfit will release the next batch of arrears all the caterers before the end of the month.
We paid 7 days, and then recently we have also paid 16 days. This one for any government is very good. The amount remaining is less than the 151. So once government has shown this kind of commitment, then we know that the rest will be paid in due course.
Now, in the northern region, newly recruited caterers under the program in the Sanyerugu district have abandoned posts and are not providing meals to the children. This comes as angry NPP youth there who protested the appointment of zonal coordinators locked up the program's offices. Head teachers there say the situation is impacting negatively on the attendance. Hashim Mohammed has more.
It's been 9 days since a group affiliated to the ruling New Patriotic Party, known as the Burma Camp Youth Group, locked down the offices of the Northern Regional Secretariat of the National School Feeding Program. The youth group stated, among other concerns, that Minister for Gender and Social Protection, Madame Otiko Jaba, has recruited zonal coordinators of the program in the region who are also at the same time caterers with more than 2 schools. A situation which the spokesperson for the Burma Camp Youth Group, Kamil Suleimana, says will breed corruption and undermine the authority of the Northern Regional School Feeding Coordinator, Felicia Tite.
Because we raise some issues. If those things are not addressed, I don't think that we'll open that office. We said in our press release, you see a caterer at the same time a monitor. And those caterers, those people are holding more than 5 schools, 2 schools, 3 schools, and at the same time monitors. And they are not the only people in their party, and they are not the only people in the northern region. And secondly, when it comes to the coordinators, northern region, they divided into only 7 zones. Out of the 7, 5 out of it is coming from one particular tribe, which is our worry. Because northern region is made out with several tribes and several ethnic groups. So if such a thing is, if there's such an opportunity, it should be divided among those tribes so that good work can be supervised.
The ongoing confusion has completely grounded the program in the region to a halt as reports of caterers not providing services to pupils continue to surface. Mumuni Yusuf is a Class 6 pupil of Ibn Tamiya T.I. Ahmadiyya School. He tells Joy News they have not been fed with food since school reopened for more than 6 weeks now.
Since school reopened, they have not been cooking for us. Anytime we go on break, we don't get food to eat. The mother who have been cooking for us is not coming again.
The situation was not also different at the Malshegu Ahmed Dubni English and Arabic Primary School. Head teacher of the school, S.S. Hamidu, said the inability of the caterers to report to post and provide meals for the children is affecting the people attendance in the school.
This is our 7th week since we resumed the first academic year. We didn't hear anything from them. So we went to Sanyerugu district office to find out why they are not coming to this school to cook. Upon all that, they told us that first it was given to a particular woman to cook, and later on the woman refused the contract and they have to reassign it to a different person.
Meanwhile, Chief Executive Officer for Send Ghana, Siafa Kamara, has called on the Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection, Otiko Fisa Jaba, to, as a matter of urgency, ensure the school feeding program operates successfully. Describing the recent locking of the school feeding program offices by pro-MPP groups in the northern regional capital, Tamale, as unfortunate, he expressed disappointment at how the program is being run and further called for the ministry to fix the problem to ensure the children expected to benefit from the program have safe minds to study.
No, I think it's unfortunate. I've already spoken about this, that the school feeding program is a government-run program, and it should be allowed to operate according to the rules and regulations laid down for running the program. It should not be held hostage by party activists. That is wrong. That's not the way you run a country. You cannot come one day and say you don't want this, you don't want that because your party is in power. I think that's most unfortunate. I mean, this is what happens in Ghana. Whenever there's a change in government, you see party activists saying that this is our time and therefore our people should be minding the school feeding program, our people should be the caterer. That's not how you run a country. When you win power, you govern for all the people, not for your party alone. Any decision that will lead to the kind of thing that is happening now is most unfortunate. Because what it means is that people in the north who need a school feeding program, children who need a school feeding program, their education is being disrupted, their opportunities are being crucified by politicians, and that's most unfortunate. And I will appeal to the minister to do whatever she can to correct the situation so the school feeding program can be allowed to operate.
You're watching JoyNews Prime. Business is up next.
Good evening to you. Time now for business. The Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, is demanding government's immediate action to keep foreigners out of the local retail market. Some members staged a demonstration on Tuesday in Kumasi to draw attention to their concerns. Ashanti Regional Public Relations Officer of GUTA, Andrews Ochiri, insists the activities of foreign nationals breach Ghana's trade laws at the expense of indigenous businesses.
Boot lock, door hinges and fuel pump. These have been in the shelves for a week. Normally they are sold off every day. David Jemfi compares the prices to the foreigners' shop.
Boot lock no, yane no, yadeje 30 cedis, but Nigeria no, almost be the mao 20 cedis, you know, yadebe 40 cedis, but Nigeria ni so the mao 20 cedis. And a fuel pump and also no, yadebe 50, but Nigeria need the mao 35.
The foreigners, including Chinese, Lebanese, and lately Egyptians, are said to be selling similar goods at a cheaper price.
Is there a Jumano? And now say, pot a hoye dinner, na a price and as a mukuya, or muntimini and your machine unintino. And my Nigeria for no so a who's or more than your ma.
Because of high import duties, there was influx of foreign goods. Foreigners reduced the prices of their goods by almost half, and that has really affected us. Now, they don't buy our goods.
So we better our the budget 90 pesos. It is an your mano. First and also no bar, put me enya or mutimi turn your machine show, or mutimi turn your machine show. Emma Okwa, 10 year old person, when you be too. Say in case emergency say bibia nia obetimi de asolve sa problem no wutimi nya enya de obedie ne say wo yire anasa wo ma wutimi nya bi so hwe omo unya bi so ehwe omo na
GIPC Law 865 Article 27 permits only Ghanaians to do retail business. Ashanti Region branch of Ghana Union of Traders Association Tuesday embarked on demonstration to remind the law enforcing agencies of their roles. This follows a petition submitted 4 months ago to regional authorities.
When it comes to trade, there's also a law that binds whoever wants to take part. We have this GIPC at 865. If you read Section 27, this category, align what a foreigner cannot do, which solely reserved for Ghanaians, including retail and hawking. But what do you see? Look around, you see a Chinese, Indian, Pakistanis, Nigerians, and whatsoever. A lot of nationals are doing this, which is contrary to the law that we are talking about. So that's why, we are educating the public and we are creating awareness to the public.
The foreigners who didn't speak on camera deny all the claims. Reporting for Joy News, Kwesi Debra.
Now, Vice President of the International Air Travel Association, IATA, Raphael Kuchi, is urging stakeholders in Ghana's aviation industry to focus on business catering to aviation logistics. IATA Raphael Kuchi spoke to Joy Business at day one of the Africa Airshow underway at the Kotoka International Airport, which will be officially opened by President Akufo-Addo on Wednesday. He said the aviation logistics industry has significant business potential for the country.
Running from the 24th to the 26th of October, the first ever Africa Airshow commenced with conferences and exhibitions at the Kotoka International Airport in Accra.
The biggest aeronautics and airspace event, which is the African Airshow, the first of its kind, and it's being held here at the Kotoka International Airport. From services to logistics, everything is available here today. This particular event is geared towards attracting various investors and stakeholders to Ghana's aviation industry.
According to the Vice President of IATA, Raphael Kuchi, the event presented a good opportunity to look into aviation logistics investments.
An event such as this, if properly coordinated, and if everybody in the industry take a deeper look at how we can bring some of these businesses that are exhibiting here to come and based here and serve the African market, then Ghana would have created an aviation equipment and logistics hub for Africa. And for me, that is what Ghana should be aiming for. That most of these companies that have come from across the world, we should see how we can get them to set base here and service Africa from this country.
The air show had about 100 exhibitors and over 300 participants from across the world. Some exhibitors spoke to Joy Business.
And for me as an exhibitor and as an airline, I'm also looking out for other stakeholders in the industry for us to do more, more discussions, more collaborations. So far, I think it's been okay.
Our business is about runway maintenance, and most of European companies that doing the same service here have very expensive prices to do the service here because of mobilization. But as we are decided to establish here a company and place some equipment here locally and do the business locally here, we will manage the cost here for our clients.
Air traffic management solutions. We have our own four-layer penetration radar, and I think that will help in combating galamsey because of its capability. And we think that we will get some good reception.
On his part, the managing director of the Ghana Airports Company Limited, John Atefa, was optimistic that the air show would give a big boost to Ghana's aviation industry.
Now people will believe that Ghana is ready for business. Our visitors will see our new terminal coming up, and they'll know that we are getting ourselves really prepared for the big takeoff. So we expect to have new business, new air routes, new businesses set up in Ghana, different routes, cargo, passenger to different parts of the world, and that would help us to be able to realize our dream of becoming the hub in West Africa.
President Akufo-Addo is expected to officially open the air show tomorrow.
Chairman of the Parliamentary Finance Committee, Dr. Mark Esibe-Yeboah, has waded into the current debate on classification of the energy bond. This follows a push by the IMF that funds being raised should be put on government's books as public debt. Some persons, including former Finance Minister Seth Tekpe, have kicked against IMF's proposals. Other personalities like former GNPC boss Alex Mould and former Minister of Energy Kwabena Donko have rubbished government's claims, with some questioning the whole process of raising the funds. But Dr. Mark Esibe-Yeboah tells Joy Business all those who are criticizing the process must come again.
I think the fund is set in their ways. They want to classify this as public debt. But you raise two cardinal issues that the fund has always lived with. One is consistency. We started the program in April of 15. And when the program started,
all of these debts were classified as non-public debt. So debt of VRA, TOR, Gridco has not been part of public debt. We are almost 3 years into the program, and suddenly you want to classify the debt as public debt because we are issuing a bond. So if government decides today not to issue the bond anymore, it is not public debt. Well, if I go ahead and issue the bond, you are saying it is public debt. I think there's some inconsistency on the part of the fund. 2 would be the fairness principle, fairness. And the fund always lives with that. AMCON, Nigeria, did a similar bond in 2011. Same, using an SPV. At the time, it was classified not to be public debt. So why are you treating Ghana differently? So those are the 2 issues. But essentially, I think for the rating agencies, they figure these ones out, so it wouldn't cost so much.
So do you think it's more of much ado about nothing, or you've seen all the debates on this, and some are saying that move away the politics out of it. Some have raised certain serious issues that should be worth to be considered.
Yeah, if you take away all the politics, I'm sure you've read the article by Honorable Seth Tepe. He's saying that if you go to the oil sector, for example, we set up a sinking fund to retire the 17 bond backed by oil, okay? And that was not treated as part of public debt. So if in this case we have an ESLA, which in the budget, this is an off-budget item, it is collected into an escrow. And so it is not part of government revenue. If it were the case that it was government revenue and the government could touch it, then you can complain. But it's not part of government revenue per se. It is sitting aside and then goes to service the energy sector debt. So I think Seth is right on this one.
And the Institute of Fiscal Studies is pushing for some changes in the country's revenue mobilization strategy to address shortfall challenges. The country over the years has struggled to meet revenue targets. Latest figures from Bank of Ghana showed that July revenue target was down by almost 3 billion. Speaking at the pre-IFS 2018 budget seminar, Director at the Institute of Fiscal Studies, Professor Newman Kusi, said the strategy must be working.
Well, it's commitment to implement. Commitment to implement, the policies, monitor and ensure that we achieve the target that we set for ourselves. We've identified, the various areas, that need to be looked at so that you can bring them into the tax base to increase the tax base and therefore be able to increase the domestic revenue. What is left is the commitment to implement the right policies. It's simple as that.
What are some of the immediate strategies to get around this thing? Because some are saying that we just have up to the numbers for July. We also know that as of August, things are just not that good. What could be the immediate strategy to try and stabilize them? Because there's this whole argument that, the last quarter miracle or the last 3 months miracle where numbers pick up. What can be done in the short term to improve? Should we be cuts in expenditure to balance things out?
Well, let's say within the next 2 or 3 months to get to the year end, what can be done? What can be done is to ensure that, we improve the tax administration, in terms of collection of the taxes, making sure that all the concessions and those things are plugged in, the proper collection and accounting of those things. There should be what they call it. They have a unit in tax revenue that follows up, to ensure that people pay their tax, file their returns, and do so. So in the short term, we need to enhance the administration of the tax revenue, machinery. In the medium to the long term is where we try to bring in, all these areas, that are not in the tax net, because you have to bring the area in the tax net so as to be able to know how much tax and what type of tax to be imposed. So those are medium to long term. But in the long term, all that we have to do is improve compliance. We have to improve collection of the taxes and accounting of that.
And that's what we have for you in business. Many thanks for your company. For more business news, log on to myjoyonline.com/business.
You're welcome back. Now, the Accra Metropolitan Assembly has handed a 3-day deadline to defaulting advertising companies to make payments due the Assembly or have their billboards pulled down. Officials from the Assembly on Tuesday visited some defaulting companies within the metropolis to sound a note of caution. Most parts of Accra are dotted with huge billboards mounted by such agencies and other individuals advertising various products. Head of the Sub-Revenue Committee of the Assembly, Robert Dazi, said the Assembly will begin to pull down defaulting billboards from October 28. He urged the defaulting companies to immediately make payments due the Assembly, as they will be required to make penalty payments if the billboards are pulled down.
Those who have a billboards in town and adverts and other things don't pay the bills to the Assembly. And we have been chasing them more than 8 months now, and they don't want to pay them, especially this particular place. The last year, balance brought forward is 163,682.24. That's 2016, what is owing is. If you add this year's one to it, make it 2010, 818,024. And this one couldn't pay a pesewa to the Assembly. And when I called him last week and told him that, please, it's not the last quarter of the year, so come and pay your bills to it. Come and see how this woman deal with me. He spoke to me like Rob. He's talking to this small boy. And at the end of the day, he's the one who feed me in his house. So we are here today for all those in this country to know, those especially those who work in the metropolis, have a billboard and other things. From here, we are going to East Legon. The engine and his people, they to the OS a sense of huge money they don't want to pay. And we will be there, we'll go after them too. We'll make sure, today is Tuesday. By Friday, if they pay our money to us, Saturday and Sunday, we'll do a special, we'll bring every billboard down for them to come and pay our money. Because once we rent the place for you to do your advert and take your money, it's your responsibility to come and pay us. So if you fail to pay us, then we don't have any obligation to take action against your things. That's exactly what is happening. And before we do these things, we're able to call all the clients in the system. 2 months now I start this particular operation. I make sure I call everybody to come and pay his money. Surprisingly, one company called DDP, they owe us more than 7 billion. When I started calling them, that Massa, who will do AB, only yesterday, they came and pay their money, the last of their money. So all 7 billion cedis, they clear all the bills. That tells you the person who wanted to do a business with the metropolis. Not some people, they will go and take their money and think they are doing Technos and other pens, Samsung and other areas. They're the same they have been doing. They don't want to pay us. But I am sending a signal to them that once as the chairman of the revenue, if it comes in terms of money of the Assembly, I am the leading the whole thing. They lie bad. At the end of this weekend, Friday, they will see us coming, and there's no any excuse. No one can stop us except the chief executive. Tell her roughly, I give you the job, so stop it. But apart from that one, everybody will pay us our money.
The Energy Commission has warned uncertified electricians who undertake industrial and domestic wiring of buildings that they will be arrested and prosecuted. Offenders will be liable to a fine of 250 penalty units or 3,000 Ghana cedis. The Energy Commission explains the measure is to ensure qualified professionals provide such services as part of measures to prevent fire outbreaks. Nana Asensu-Mensah has more in this report.
The Ghana Electrical Wiring Regulations 2011, Legislative Instrument 2008, were passed in 2012 by Parliament. It prescribes only certified electrical wiring professionals are legally entitled to undertake indoor electrical wiring projects. Here is Public Affairs Manager at Energy Commission, Victor Owusu.
We are entering into the full implementation stage of the law. Full implementation. We are going to go into full implementation. Full implementation means what? Full implementation means that from now onwards, no electrician who is not certified by the Energy Commission can undertake electrical wiring in this country. So that is the reason why we have brought you here this morning, so that you members of the press will assist us to carry out this message to the general public, that henceforth, if you put up your building, if you are doing any kind of wiring, your container, your kiosk, any facility, shopping mall, filling station, whatever that requires electrical wiring, it can only be done by somebody who is certified by the Energy Commission.
Meanwhile, the commission is ready to run safety assessment tests on old buildings and other facilities against fire.
We don't want these outbreaks to be happening. We want it to become a thing of the past. And as far as fire outbreaks attributable to electrical wiring, faulty electrical wiring, or inferior electrical cables and accessories, we want it to become a thing of the past. We would, as a matter of fact, immediately after this press briefing, do an inspection of these KMA premises to see whether they are sitting on a time bomb or not. And if we find out any defects, we actually call on the Assembly to take steps to remedy them.
Nana Sensumensa reporting for Joy News.
Now, the mother of a 4-year-old girl defiled by a resident of Asin Adadientem in the Central Region is calling for justice. Monica Nyako is also contesting the age of the accused, who she says is more than 16 years. The distressed mother is also accusing a local chief in the area of obstructing justice, claiming the chief told her action cannot be taken against the accused because the community gods say the suspect is innocent. JoyNews' Maswal Baba has been speaking to the mother of the child in Asimfusu in the Central Region and has come through with this report.
It is early morning here at the St. Francis Xavier Hospital at Asimfusu. Outside the compound, I've met Monica Nyako. Monica is the mother of the 4-year-old girl who was defiled. Monica is trying to get her daughter to walk, but she's unable to do so as she cries, a little girl in pain. The girl is unable to stand. She looks very pale with the bandage from the intravenous therapy still on her left hand. Monica Nyako tells me she had left home for a funeral in the community when the incident happened. She discovered what happened when she decided to bath her daughter.
I was bathing my daughter sometime around 7 p.m. Just when I was about to wash her private parts, she told me not to do it because she was feeling pains there. I asked her what happened, and she said one Kwabena had sex with her in a toilet facility. I asked her where her 8-year-old sister was before the incident happened. She told me Kwabena sent her sister to go and get him coconuts and further warned my daughter not to respond when her sister calls, otherwise he will kill her with a stick. He carried her on his shoulder after the act and dropped my daughter behind our house. My daughter bled for about 3 days. I can show you the diapers we were forced to buy for her, and it is full of blood. She couldn't pass urine, but by God's grace, she has been able to do that now.
I'm currently stepping out of the St. Francis Xavier Hospital. The 4-year-old girl was hospitalized in this facility where we are told that she bled for many days. Her mother, Monica Nyako, tells me that when the case was reported to the chief of the community, he says they've taken the issue to a deity, but the deity says the boy who has been accused of raping 4-year-old Jessica is actually innocent.
One of the local chiefs in the community says They took the boy to the village deity, and the gods said the accused person did not commit the acts.
I've now met Oscar Dazi. Oscar is a local journalist in Asimfusu. He tells me rape is very common in the municipality. He has been recounting some recent cases.
This incident is very rampant here. This year, beginning of this year till now, we visited a similar incident which occurred at a town called Asin, what they call it, Airshow, in which a teacher defied 3 years old girl, and it even came to Asnakon for the police station. And within a week time, same incidents occurred at Asin Latte, near Asin Kushia in Oronchimai Parliamency, in which a 7-month-old baby girl was defiled by his own senior brother, who's 24 years. All the instances I'm giving occurred just this year. In this same year, Asin Aroso, which is also in Asin South, about 15-year-old girl was raped by his own stepfather in a bush in which they were going to tap a palm wine. When the incidents occur, most occasions some of the traditional leaders used to plan, sit down, try to settle it, in which some of them don't even come to the police station. Same incidents occurred at Asin, what they call Yankumase, Asin Mansu rather, in which 13-year-old girl who was selling ice cream. When that lady was sent to go and sell ice cream, 3 guys called that lady in a gang rape. They raped the lady till she collapsed. And they accidentally carry her, go and throw her in a bush. And accidentally, the girl lost her life. And before we had access to that information, her body was even in the process of decaying. A certain girl, she is about 16 years. And according to the eyewitness, that lady was going to dump refuse somewhere. So a certain guy who is about 35 years old called her inside her room, kidnapped her for 2 good days. And according to eyewitness, the girl was raped for that particular 3 days with no food. And when the guy realized that the situation was getting worse, he tried to kill the girl. So he took a mosquito net, tied the neck of the lady, hung it in his own room, the scene in his own room, pushed the chair in a way of forcing her to commit suicide.
Meanwhile, gender activists have called on the Gender, Children and Social Protection Ministry to bring to Accra the 2 victims of sexual assault in their Sin South constituency for protection. Police have not been clear on measures being taken to bring suspects to book, but Executive Director of the ARC Foundation, Angela Dramina-Boaje, says the victims are exposed to substantial risk if left on their own. She was speaking on The Pulse with my colleague Gifty Ando-Apia.
Because of the dynamics of our social relationship, it means that this girl and possibly her mother need to be withdrawn from that area. And that brings the issue of shelters into question again. Okay, we lack shelters in this country. Right now, the only possible place where they might find shelter is for the gender ministry to move them from Asin Pusu or Asin Adadiente, wherever they are, and bring them into a shelter, because it is likely, I'm not saying that is what will happen, the likelihood that they will attract the displeasure of local people because of what the chief has said or has ordered is very, very strong. Therefore, they will need protection, and that is possible under our Domestic Violence Act and the policy that comes alongside it.
Meanwhile, development NGO Send Ghana says the police must not allow traditional authorities to interfere in what ought to be treated as a purely criminal matter.
It is interference from the traditional authority. A child has been raped. We should allow the appropriate state institutions, we should allow appropriate state institutions to do their work. They are to determine whether the prime suspect is innocent or guilty. It is not the responsibility of the traditional authority to do that. When we begin to go that direction, we erase all the evidence that we require to prosecute somebody who has made a mistake. And I think that the gender ministry should immediately come into this and take it up. We do not have to wait. We do not have to even call on Honorable Otiko to come and do this. She has to jump on board and take this matter up. All the other institutions, the Owusu and other civil society organizations who are into this should come on board. It's a 4-year-old girl. It could be my daughter. Yeah. It could be your daughter, you know, and we shouldn't allow this to go. I think we have had far too many of these issues, and as a country, we should begin to tell ourselves that if you are a man and you cannot control yourself, you should be behind bars.
You should do something. Now, are you a graduate who's been home for years without a job? Well, there is some good news. The Youth Employment Agency, in partnership with the local government service, has rolled out its graduate internship module, which seeks to recruit 10,000 graduates across the country into government institutions. The initiative is to address unemployment in the country. Justine Kodria Frimpong is the Chief Executive Officer of the Youth Employment Agency.
The President realizes that we have so many youth who have completed various tertiary institutions and have several qualifications, but yet still they are not being able to access employment in the public sector. So on the basis of that, the Youth Employment Agency developed a model which is called Graduate Internship Model. And the first institution that we are starting the model is with the local government service. When you talk about local government service, we are talking about staff in the metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies who are the cracks of local governance. Every development will start from the local level. But you realize that when you go to these areas, sometimes you want an accountant to process your document for you. Sometimes you need a planner to talk to. Sometimes you need a human resource person, a procurement officer, messenger, cleaner, secretary. But because they are understaffed, they are unable to furnish you with all these people or for these people to assist you. That is why Youth Employment Agency is bringing various graduates who have this expertise to work in the local government service, and they will be paid allowance every month, while the local government service directorate takes steps to get financial clearance from the Ministry of Finance to formally employ them.
He also revealed the introduction of the Entrepreneurial Program, which seeks to identify talents across the country and provide financial support beginning 2018.
The Youth Employment Agency has realized that it is not just only about graduates, it is not just only about sports. There are several people who have not been able to have formal education, but they have various talented skills that, if well shaped, they'll be able to become very productive in our economy. What do we talk about? What we mean is entrepreneurship training. We are looking at artisans, we are looking at people who have several expertise. For instance, when you go to the northern region, there's one thing that we can identify is smoke making. So next year, Youth Employment is coming out with a flagship program whereby at every region we should be able to come out with a flagship village whereby the youth in those areas will be trained to be self-sufficient and also to earn a good living.
Head of Local Government Service, Nanato Arthur, said youth unemployment has become a security issue in the country, hence the initiative.
Youth unemployment in Ghana is becoming a national security issue. Indeed, it has become what we call a quiet crisis. Just about 2 years ago, we advertised that we're looking for staff in the local government service. Within the last 2 weeks, the number of graduates who have thronged to this place, it will marvel all of us. It tells you the level of unemployment in this country. We're looking for assistant engineers, assistant programmers, assistant procurement officers, assistant human resource managers, assistant statisticians, technician engineers, environmental health officers, catering officers, stewards, drivers, and security.
Now, a 21-year-old driver of an urban bus has been shot dead by suspected robbers at Yiziri in the Jirapa district of the Upper West region. Abdul Kamal was carrying passengers from Wa to Lora when the robbers ordered him to stop. He refused to stop and they fired shots deflating his tires before shooting him several times in his shoulder and neck. JoyNews' Upper West correspondent Rafiq Salam has more.
The people of Lora Bantama are in a state of shock and disbelief following the shooting to death of 21-year-old urban driver Abdul Kamal. Abdul Kamal was shot multiple times in the shoulder and in the neck by suspected robbers on the Nodulu-Lora highway late Monday evening. He became unconscious and was rushed to the Nadulu hospital where he passed on this morning. The deceased was carrying passengers in an urban bus with registration number GS2440-11 from Wa to Lora. There was an attempt to stop them halfway through the journey at Yiziri by unknown persons using flashlight, but the driver refused to stop. This lady, who gave her name only as Irene, was one of the 14 passengers on the urban bus, and she narrated what happened.
A whole lot of torchlighters. They were just doing this. By then, but the driver too was on the wheel. By the time we all realized, they just shot the tire, and the car just moved into the bush. So it ran for some distance, and we're all just hitting each other, and it went and landed. By then, they were on the road, and they started crossing those who got down. So those who were sitting in front, they got down and opened the doors, and some of them started running. So I ran to some stand, and I said, where am I there going? So I asked one old man that we should go back and sit by the car. So when we went, the driver had then gotten down from the car, and he was just sitting on the floor. So they two of them quickly rushed there, and they were asking the driver that why is that we were stopping and he didn't stop.
This is not the first time passengers have been attacked and robbed at gunpoint by suspected robbers on the Nodulu-Lora-Nandom highway. Sometimes it happened in broad daylight. Residents living along the highway says their life is under threat. John Dare is a farmer and a resident of Lora.
We want to make this appeal to Honorable Ambrose P. Derrick, which is our Interior Minister. So he should just step his legs down and then come to our region and do us a favor. We in the Upper West region, we are now suffering. Right now, the travelers can no longer travel in the daytime or neither in the nighttime. So we are even appealing to the Defense Minister. We need military men in our region to come and take control in this road.
He also accused the police of having strong links with suspected robbers and supply them with weapons.
Where do the armed robbers used to get opportunity to get AK-47? We all understand that the police alone and then the Ghana Armed Forces, they have that opportunity. So we are suspecting the police.
Abdul Kamal has since been buried under strict Islamic tradition. Reporting for JoyNews, Rafiq Salam, Lora.
This is JoyNews Prime.